Welcome back to Click, your digital marketing podcast, weekly podcast released every Friday. Myself, Chris Rupp, and my co-host,
Alaina Corsini,
are here to bring you the most relevant weekly digital marketing news and different trends and industry topics. We're also going to be eventually bringing you in further episodes different guests and different how-to topics that we can, really provide some actionable information for those working, anybody that is in the digital marketing field as a whole. So, we'll be touching on SEM, paid advertising, SEO, web development, design, the creative side, branding. I mean, we're really going to try to touch on a little bit of everything here. So, this episode is, obviously with everything going on right now, there is just a flood, a hose of news and breaking news information that is just very near impossible to keep up with at this point. So, absolutely. I mean, even by the time that we get this out there, I think, there's no telling what things will change.
There'll be new information out there
today it is almost noon, Wednesday, March 18th, and we'll have this out Friday. So anyways, just keep that in mind as we're kind of going through everything here. And I'm sure, everybody is just in a complete, just unprecedented circumstances and really trying to figure out how to navigate this on so many different levels, personally, professionally. Everybody's of course trying to make sure that the family is taken care of, and yourselves, number one. We are practicing our social distance here for those on the video that can see us. Everything was Clorox down
in the studio.
Yep. So we're being as absolutely careful as possible. So, anyways, let's get right into this and let's talk about kind of what's going on here with COVID-19 and exactly what we're seeing in our digital marketing space of how it's affecting so many different things and whatnot. So take it away.
And we were talking about it as well too. We wanted to talk about something other than this because I know it's flooding the news. That's what everyone's talking about. But it really is so important, and especially in our field, in this industry, where you're going to see an influx of just information out there. People are going to be online. People are going to be looking for things. People are going to be searching. They're going to be on Facebook. They're going to be on social platforms.
That's right.
So I just think it's really important, and that we kind of wanted to focus the whole episode on this because there are actionable items that you can take that any small business, any person can take. So it's very important to note.
It is. And I think, it's going to be kind of a reoccurring theme throughout. And I talked about this on another show that I'm on, and just emphasizing the communication piece right now. Yeah. And, anybody that works directly with clients and account management as a whole, opening up that line of communication to make sure that they understand what's happening in regards to their business and how, of course, from a marketing standpoint, but as a whole, and how to properly, adjust your messaging with anything that you're putting out, with your content in general, of course, your ad campaigns. We're going to talk in detail about campaigns and what we're seeing happening right now already, just, a few days into all this mess. Yeah. But, just emphasizing that communication aspect that we're telling our clients to communicate with your customers, update vital information, that their customers need to see, right? I mean, even from like a phone number, if you're closed and you need to update your phone number on your Google My Business, anything along those lines, I think is really important to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to play on that, you said communication. This is actually a quote from the owner of Facebook, and he says that in times of crisis, people rely on communication tools even more than usual. That means that as well as helping people access information, we have a responsibility to make sure our services are stable and reliable to handle this load, and we take that seriously too. So that was just something, and we'll mention that talking about Facebook, but just making sure that communication aspect is there and it's there working in full, and businesses are communicating, and I know that that's what we are really pushing with our clients. So just talking on that, there have been just a huge I mean, we've seen it, some pauses in campaign, but it's really important. And this is what I would really want to push and just get that message out there, that do not decrease your ad spending dollars. So although overall we've seen the decrease, that in this time, in your field, in your industry, there are going to be these major leaders, as we have seen. Amazon has decreased their spending. That this is an opportunity for small businesses to really get out there and to put their ad above others. So when in a time when there isn't as much money going in, this is important to remain steady and to remain like one of the prominent leaders out there.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because the opportunity right now that presents itself to the smaller advertisers is, the cost per clicks and cost per actions that we're seeing across all these major platforms are declining pretty significantly.
Rates,
yeah, I mean, up to, we've seen some around 20%. So, and I think I'm probably getting ahead, but one of the pieces with Amazon talking about pulling back some of their advertising, and anybody that's ever tried to advertise a product, within Google Ads is more than likely going to have competition from Amazon of some kind in that space. So with them, somebody like that pulling back that has unlimited budgets, right?
Yeah.
That's huge new opportunity for small, medium-sized business advertisers.
Oh, absolutely. It says, and this is in our first article, and these links will be up on the page. A comparison of the first 2 weeks of March 1st, February shows a contraction of 62% in digital media spend by the travel sector. So this is an opportunity as well for smaller airports, smaller travel businesses to get in there. These are times when big organizations, big companies are decreasing their spend. So this is the time to get in there, to get your campaign in there, and to remain. Maybe you do have to decrease your spend a little bit. Maybe smaller businesses, advertising. It may not seem as big as or as important, but it really is. And especially during this brand awareness, this is where people are looking. This isn't going to last forever. Although it seems there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and to have your business there as a prominent industry leader is vital. And I think it'll just bring more revenue in the end, more profit for small businesses.
What do you recommend right now when they're facing adversity, like we all are? I mean, even our own agency. I mean, what do you recommend telling people? When we're trying to maintain budgets or at least not completely suspend or pause in general, and their business is affected by it. So I mean, there's obviously, they feel like they have a valid point and reason, to do so. We're trying to, like everybody, trying to convince, our clients to maintain. What do you recommend them within their messaging? What needs to be changed with what they're pushing out in their campaigns that makes sense for them to continue those budgets?
Well, if you stop your ads altogether right now, in a few months, you're going to have to kind of start back from ground zero. So that's the most important thing. So if you have an underlying message, you have a brand awareness campaign going at all times, it's going to help in the long run. For messaging, it's specific on what the organization is. So for restaurants, if you're doing curbside, you're doing pickup or delivery, definitely change that messaging. Restaurants in general should have a general messaging about what they're doing. Their sanitary practices should be on their website, should be on their social media, especially on Google Ads. If they have Google Ads, make sure that's in your structured snippet, your call out, so that's quick, accessible information that when people are Googling, they can see that right there, that they're, I mean, an example of if you do have pickup or delivery, to make sure that that's in that call out text, that you are doing safe sanitary practices.
That's a good point.
So that's really important. And then just making an awareness message in general. So making sure, we were talking about that today in our meeting, to just make sure that you're not pushing back, that you are there, that your brand is there, and you are pushing prominent, you're there for your customers, you're there for your employees, you're there for the businesses you partner with, and to just face this epidemic head on. Yeah,
you make a really good point with that. Trying to maintain at least somewhat of a very minimal sense of normalcy throughout definitely. That. And that's, so many people are seeking that right now. So, just making adjustments to those campaigns and the messaging and what you're putting out there, I think will not only allow agencies to better maintain their clients' budgets and I know some haven't probably experienced it yet. I feel like, really by the end of this week, I don't know if there would be an agency or anybody that works in digital marketing in terms of account management and budgeting and whatnot that probably has not seen some kind of absolutely. A pullback in some capacity. And now I know that's not across the board. That varies. It's going to vary a lot by industry. Mm-hmm. Travel, of course. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just the most blatantly obvious one mm-hmm. that we're going to see the biggest pullback in. But I don't know. It's it's important that we just update that messaging. We talk to our clients about this and push out what these individual businesses are doing in times of adversity.
Exactly. And being transparent with the people that are listening, the people that are looking at your social media channels, being transparent with your customers and what you're doing. And just really, I know I keep saying it, but just not taking back, decreasing that ad spend, because this is the time where you're going to get ahead. And especially for restaurants, people are going to be looking for food. I mean, I know in North Carolina, you can't go to a restaurant right now. Yep. So there might be people might not be stocked up. They might want pickup or delivery. So they're going to be Googling these things.
That's right.
They're still going to be searching. They're going to be online, especially if they're home quarantined. So definitely just not decreasing that ad spend, remaining just prominent in their industry, brand messaging, and just altering it to that. Yep.
All right. So looking at our next one here, and really with, I think everybody's seen Facebook in the news a lot, even in the last 24, 48 hours.
Oh, definitely.
It's really good. I mean, especially for, kind of the mistrust in general that they've seen over the last couple of years and whatnot with all the privacy issues. But me personally, my quick take on some of the things that they're really being proactive about and coming out and talking about, I've seen on a lot of television shows. It's just good to see them being this proactive and pushing information out and opportunities to the people that it matters most. I mean, the small business side. I mean, right now in the news, it's so difficult to see, there all these kind of bailouts for the airlines and this and that, and billions of dollars. And it's like, I know majority of the people out there are like, hey, let's focus on Main Street. Mm-hmm. Let's focus on me, small business. And so anyways, let's talk a little bit about what Facebook has released in the last couple of days.
Yeah. Well, mainly so I think they've done a really great job, as you've said, of keeping people up to date. And they have this ongoing blog post. So they've been updating this since January. So since the beginning of all of this. Wow. And they continuously update it. There was an update yesterday, update the day before that, throughout the week since we spoke about this last. And they just really want to make sure that everyone has accurate information, which the main point of this, that's the most important, is that people are getting accurate information. They're not being exploited by anything. We said last week, they're not allowing ads for face masks, which I think is great. Sanitizer, you can't see any ads for that. So just connecting people to accurate information and helpful resources. And they provide all these links on this blog post, provide incredible information, connecting people with information. They've also offered ad spends to match health organizations that are helping in these efforts. So I think that's awesome. They've matched $2 million in donations to support just relief efforts. So nothing to do with ads on the digital side, just normal, just relief efforts, supporting global health organizations, empowering partners with data and tools, which I was going to say during the, before we were just focusing on coronavirus, that just measuring reports, data, it's really important. So they are consciously using data and Facebook ads to combat this and to try to help. So they're working closely with industry partners, as I said.
I want to jump back. I'm going to interrupt you. I want to jump back to the stopping misinformation and harmful content. I'm sure everybody has seen on their own individual pages all kinds of things being posted from, good sourced news sources to, I guess I should say, relevantly trusted news sources. Some are government links. Some are just total, conspiracy theories. I mean, there's the funnel of misinformation in times like these is just huge. And I think they're actually doing a pretty good job. I mean, from a completely unbiased, political opinions of like how they're trying to filter content right now, I think they're doing a really, really good job across the board. I mean, we even saw, we had made a post from our agency for just a letter that I had written out to our clients and partners, just general kind of updates, how we're attacking this and our internal plan that's been activated and what we're doing and whatnot. And I know myself and a couple of others, tried to share that immediately just to their own pages. And it actually it had to go through an approval process because it said COVID-19 in it, right? And something, and that was just a link on our website to a letter I had written, but just because it had mentioned that, it had to go through an approval process to make sure that, hey, you're not trying to spread, erroneous information right now about what's going on. And it's going to be something that's somewhat helpful to what you're posting out there.
And I've seen that too on my own personal page, just going through, and it'll pop up and it'll say, it's like, I don't know if you've seen those, and it's a post. Typically I've seen them right now with coronavirus, but I've seen them with other things too. Particularly during the primaries, and it would come up and it would say, this fact has not been, this is not valid. This is, we fact checked this and it is not accurate. So it kind of gives you like this preliminary message, like, okay, before you consume this content, it might not be accurate. Sure. It's not. And that's also something too they noted yesterday, was they are working with the International Fact Checking Network to launch a $1 million grant program. So we're talking, Facebook is spending millions of dollars, up into the 50 million we're at right now between all these organizations they're helping. So they're really putting forth a lot of effort, and I think it should be commended, especially in the digital space. Yeah,
for sure. Definitely. So on this next one, investing $100 million towards small business, they made a big announcement yesterday about putting grants available essentially for small business advertisers that you can go on and apply for. So
that's going to be $100 million, as you said, in cash grants and ad credits as well. So they are noting too that ads are very important during this time, for up to 30,000 eligible small businesses in over 30 countries. And they're saying that they're going to update more information as it comes. And an example is so what Facebook is saying is they want to keep the workforce going strong. So this money isn't particularly for employees. So if businesses can't pay their employees, help with rent costs, connect with more customers. So that's particularly through ad spending, and then covering any operational costs, which is really interesting. And you can apply for that within the upcoming week. So Facebook will have more information as it processes.
Yeah, I think that's really good.
That's a pretty recent update. Yeah,
it is. I mean, that just came out. So I mean, not a ton of information on it yet, but there is a link. I was actually just on it here. Let's see. There is a link that you can go to, facebook.com/business/grants in regards to this for more information on that. I mean, you mentioned a minute ago, all these links again will be posted in the description of the YouTube video, but I just wanted to call that one out because that's, for a lot of advertisers, that's something you're going to want to look into pretty quick. I mean, only up to 30,000 eligible small businesses. That's probably going to go pretty quick. While that's a massive $100 million in cash grants and ad credits, it's people are on top of this stuff, and it's going to go pretty quick. So I would say jump on it.
Definitely.
Let's see what else is Facebook doing that they've come out with. I saw that they announced to all of their staff they're giving $1,000 to every employee.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. I mean, they're of course allowing everybody to work from home, giving everybody $1,000 cash, which in times like these, it's just, take anything and everything that you can get. There's a lot of additional expenses and likely decreased wages, in these times, whether it be from, yourself or a spouse or, somebody that you live with that may be affected. So I thought that was pretty cool for them to come out and do.
Definitely.
They have a pretty strict, performance grading system, and they came as far as like what are your raises or obtaining bonuses, end of year bonuses, and just overall keeping your job, reviews. And they also came out and said that everybody and the entire company for the first half of the year, at least at this point, is going to get, I don't know what they called it, essentially all A's or all 10s on their rating, so that, especially people that have those big, probably end of year bonuses that are in positions that allow that, they're worried about that. They probably put in a lot of effort so far this year to be able to reach those goals, and are counting on some of those end of year payouts, and there's no telling. It's like, this disrupted everything, right?
Exactly.
So I thought that was really cool that they came out and just said, hey, as far as anything performance grade related, we're going to, for the first half of this year, we're going to give all employees like essentially a free pass, A's, 10s, whatever, across the board.
And that's back to company culture. If you cultivate a great company culture, for any organization, digital marketing, just small business, anything in the small business sector as well. If you cultivate a great company culture, you take care of your employees, it all works itself out in the end, so to speak. I also thought it was really cool too so this was on the 16th, Facebook actually worked together. There was an industry statement from Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, Microsoft, Reddit, Twitter, and YouTube.
Wow.
So these are all platforms that, necessarily, they kind of compete against each other.
Yeah.
People who are predominant YouTube users or Facebook or Instagram. Instagram's with Facebook, but you get what I'm saying. They're all different and working against each other. And they say, so this is their industry statement: we are working closely together on COVID-19 response efforts. We're helping millions of people stay connected while also jointly combating fraud and misinformation about the virus, elevating authoritative content on our platforms, and sharing critical updates in coordination with government healthcare agencies around the world. We invite other companies to join us as we work to keep our communities healthy and safe. So I think that just it
That's
tells
awesome.
us, especially just in the digital realm, we really have the power. We have an opportunity here to really help others, to help our clients, to help our businesses strive. And this just really proves that we need to work together. This isn't a time to be competing against each other, but rather working with each other.
I'm glad you said that. It really is. We've seen even in our own community just so many businesses, all kinds of different businesses, just coming out and just supporting the community in general.
Absolutely.
And anything that can be done right now, again, to try to maintain some normalcy and as little disruption as possible, with so much disruption around us right now, is really important. Okay, let's talk a little bit about corporate social responsibility and search engine marketing, kind of what we're seeing going on right now.
So just continuing on that, on just remaining, responsible in these times. So we're going to see a huge surge in increased surf traffic. And there are many businesses that are going to be putting forth all these ads. Like I said, that they are putting restrictions on these ads. And we need to be proactive when planning for these events and these ad campaigns as well.
One thing on that last one, this was, as you mentioned, it's an active blog post, I guess. I think it's all together in one, but this page that Facebook has created. So anytime new information, I think the last at least update to that blog was made of yesterday, talking about, kind of just an overview of response that Facebook is doing. But anyways, it's a good link. Of course, a ton of new information is going to be posted on there. It's a good up to the minute Facebook related news source to get directly from them. Anyways, back on, just responsibility in general. It's important that everybody's taking the right steps to push out information that is going to be helpful and not cause, mass hysteria. And even from individual businesses, I think that they should, if you haven't already been talking to your customers or posted some kind of an update or sent something out, that make sure, depending on, how big you are, you may want to form even some kind of a task force, like an internal task force that gets your business all on the same page of, this is what's happening, this is our stance, this is what has changed, this is who's going to put it out there, to the media and all of content efforts. So I think it's just important that everybody's being as responsible possible as they're trying to release this information, and you don't want employees and whatnot posting false information or anything that's just going to, all of a sudden, I don't know, they work at a local grocery store and it's like, we're out of all of this, or we're closing at this time, yet it's not really accurate information.
Yeah.
It's important that companies are talking with their employees too about that and making sure that there's a unified message that is going out.
Yeah, just making sure that this is being addressed. And I know I've gotten a ton of emails about this as well. So remaining constant on emails, making sure that you are updating a newsletter, but then also using search and making sure that these, as I mentioned previously, that these food safety issues are on your page, that they are there, that when people are searching for them, it's critical that these precautions are discoverable when people search.
Yeah. How, and of course, I mean, as just overall corporate social responsibility goes, I mean, we've seen just about every imaginable event be postponed or canceled indefinitely. Definitely. I mean, we've all, I think, in this space, there's all kinds of conferences and all over the U.S., all over the world, really. But I mean, we've seen that. We were booked and scheduled to go to one just in, when was that, next month in April. For one of our programmatic platforms, and just seeing so many companies come out and just say, hey, right now we got to do the right thing. This is off. I mean, we're kind of forced to, obviously, from some of the federal updates in regards to how many people you can really be around right now. But the effect of that is kind of one thing I want to talk about was what the downward effect from all of these events, and I even think locally we're in North Carolina, and we even have one of our employees getting married, and supposed to get married the end of this month, and just venues off, right? All of the things that go into wedding planning. I saw something this morning. I think the average wedding cost was just over $20,000. Yeah, and just the amount of money that is so much income to all of these businesses from, think about everything from, entertainment
that goes into a wedding,
all of the different things, flowers and, just on and on and on. It's just a huge trickle down effect that it's really hard to see. There's a company, like a party supply company that just expanded in Charlotte. I think it was just last month. They built a whole new facility, and they had to lay off half of their staff yesterday because they've seen such a massive decline in events in general. I mean, there's going to be a huge trickle down effect, and in regards to trying to talk with your client, somebody like that is obviously a little bit more difficult in maintaining status quo from a marketing perspective. And they're laying off half of their staff. I think it was 100 people or so. And that's just, he's trying to weather the storm, right? Trying to get through it. And a lot of these, there's not going to be much that you can do in terms of saving their advertising dollars for, specifically somebody like that. Hopefully they don't, to your point a little bit ago, hopefully they don't just, go flatline it.
But even if they do, though, and there are other avenues, there are other platforms, not just in advertising, get on social media. I mean, that's an opportunity. Okay, maybe, I mean, it's inevitable. That is, people aren't going to have events as much. So someone in the event planning industry, they might see a decrease in revenue. Well, this is an opportunity to get on Facebook Live, get on Instagram, get engaged. You don't need advertising dollars to be engaged on social media to have great SEO. You need to get on there writing blogs. You need to be there with training modules, with opportunities to ask questions. You're going to plan an event in a year. So to be there now, get your brand in there, be on people's minds. So in 7 months when I'm, looking to plan an event, that they're there and they're
still there.
Yep, still fresh in their minds.
That's right. That's very well said. It's critical. I mean, it doesn't have to be from a paid
and it's hard to be optimistic right now. I know,
it really is, but
it's necessary.
It has to be. I mean, we've got to continue that narrative that no matter how, we have not hit bottom yet. And from everything that we're hearing from officials is that we're potentially months away from hitting bottom. So,
and this is another quote from a Forbes article. With most ad spending happening towards the end of the year, we are cautiously optimistic that could be a turnaround. So it might happen in a few months. It might be a little bit, but it will happen.
Yep.
So just being optimistic, remaining engaged on social media, on digital platforms, I think is most important during this time.
Sure. Monitoring efficiency metrics like click-through rates, cost per click, to determine if the nature of people's broad search queries are changing. Really dig into the metrics that are available to you and figuring out what can you do for your existing ad campaigns that you're running.
Data is going to be critical.
It really is. And it's changing so quickly. It's really important to look at that data and analyze the trends that are going and seeing if not necessarily being ahead of it, but at least keeping up with the changes that we're seeing. And it's going to vary by industry. So I know it's just it's a little general sounding, but if you know how to analyze the data, it's going to apply across the board.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And as we had mentioned before, so Amazon did decrease their ad spending. So this is another opportunity that we can talk about where a ton of businesses compete against Amazon. So with decreased ad spending, this is an opportunity. Like I said, being optimistic, getting your SEO up, being there for when people search these terms. I said, it might not happen right now, but it's going to happen. It will happen eventually where people are back on and buying things. We've seen a huge surge in e-commerce. So they're not being able to keep up. So when these big major retailers are going to be out of stock, they're going to look for smaller businesses. So just being there, being ready and having put your best foot forward during this time.
Yep. Amazon, which accounts for more than a third of all e-commerce orders in the U.S., they announced Monday that they're intending to hire 100,000 workers, which is awesome. It's almost hard to fathom, right?
Yeah, especially right now.
Yeah,
too.
right. I mean, you're seeing the opposite, but in so many other areas. But hiring 100,000 fulfillment workers to manage the spike in orders, and they also came out and talked about limiting the items that you're actually able to buy.
Yeah, back to social responsibility as well.
And I think that's awesome for them to do. I mean, it's so many people are probably sitting at home and bored, and of course watching their finances, but the shopping that typically happens on Amazon that is not really necessary right now. I'm speaking to my wife right now. But in all seriousness, it's good to see that they're limiting the shopping, the deliveries, at least prioritizing the essential items, the household items that everybody's after. It's funny because at the office, I think we're down to like a roll and a half of toilet paper between all three bathrooms in this building, and I've popped over to various grocery stores as soon as they open in the morning and trying to see if did they get a shipment in, and I can just grab a pack for us and whatever. And I've also been on Amazon and just search toilet paper, nothing else, and you can refresh the search and it'll say something. It won't say it's necessarily Prime. It's certainly not going to be 1, 2, 3 day delivery. But it'll say something is available and like 12 left. And literally by the time that you immediately click add to cart, it's already gone. It's impossible to do.
That's crazy.
And it's almost, I was just kind of playing with it at one point. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to get anything, but this is kind of entertaining to see just how quickly that items like that. I wish I knew kind of the back end of what was happening on Amazon's fulfillment side and on the e-com of they get a shipment in of X, cases or whatever it may be of that brand and that particular product. And it's posted and it's gone within, it feels like milliseconds. I know it's a little bit longer than that, but.
Oh yeah. It says even right here, we've seen a significant boost in sales on Amazon levels like Black Friday or Prime Day, but they're not ready for it.
They're not.
So imagine there's no way that any businesses could have prepared for this. So having, whereas Black Friday or something, or Prime Day, something similar, they have months to prepare. They have, the whole year to build a campaign, to be around it, to know that this is coming, this influx of orders are coming, and now it's not. So to fulfill these orders, I could see why they would have to hire all these people.
They would, and they also came out and they told everybody increase in wage too. I think they were giving everybody a $2 increase in their hourly rate, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean it's tough timing, and they actually talked a little bit about that. The move that some of those moves comes just after production at different Chinese factories was picking back up. Of course, I mean that's just so much of that is on hold right now. And that's really attributed towards the majority of third-party sellers on Amazon import their goods from China, and that's where all this mess began. Some have argued that, but I think it's for most Americans at least can conclude at least that's where this initially came from. But they're being as proactive as possible, trying to do everything that they can. They've curtailed their advertising as much as they possibly can. So it's just, again, it's another good example of a huge, enormous company like that trying to give back and do some good right now.
Absolutely. And then our last point is just, I found this extremely interesting, that Google is now showing specialists tab on the health condition knowledge cards on mobile. So we were talking about this previously. So it's before there were updates to this. So when you search for a condition on Google, there are like the tabs of what it is, an overview, symptoms, treatments. Well, now they're adding specialists. So when people look up symptoms they're having or similar diseases, they can find specialists. Well, the first update to this was in February 2015. The next update was adding treatments, December 2015. June 2016, they added a symptoms tab. So the last update to this was in 2016.
Wow.
And now we're seeing them rolling out a specialist tab on these health condition cards, which I just think was
almost 4 years later.
Yeah, extremely interesting that, I mean, epidemics, I don't want to say they happen all the time, but they do happen frequently. Every few years there is a big disease or virus that goes through, and no prior altercations had been made, but this is something that is substantial. I mean, they're seeing people Google things that there is a need for them to add that there. So I think it just adds validity, as well, to everything that we're saying, that people are online, people are going to be in the digital world right now.
That's
so it's important to remain there and remain transparent.
Yeah, for those of you not necessarily familiar with what this is, I mean, it's their health knowledge. They have a separate health knowledge team, and they actually have their own mission statement. And the goal of that team is make health information universally accessible and useful, allow anyone in the world to receive key top quality health info in a fluid and intuitive fashion. So they're definitely doing that. I know everybody has seen that, searched like the symptoms one. I mean, I think that's great because, there's just so many things I can think of over the years where you Google it and, what are you sick with, or what do you have? What could it be?
You have all these crazy things come up.
It's a big opportunity for healthcare marketers, and I want to touch on that a little bit. And just by adding that specialist tab could really increase the frequency of healthcare providers appearing in local search results. Absolutely. So as far as giving some actionable information here, there's 5 high-level SEO tips that you can capitalize on this opportunity. So number 1, make sure your doctor or healthcare facility web pages follow best practices for local optimization. 2, add as much content to your physician or healthcare facility Google My Business profile. We talked about this earlier, making sure that
if you have not already, definitely update that as soon as possible.
Make a post, update your hours if they've changed. Any of your GMB information, just make sure that it's up to date. Your customers are looking for it, and just make sure that it's there. It's so easy to do, or somebody manages it for you.
And Google recommended it, which is like
very much so. Yep, they've got an entire article about that. 3, build out online profiles across top healthcare directory sites. So your health grades, your vitals, your WebMD. Make sure the information is consistent across all those platforms. That's really important. 4, incorporate schema on your doctor and healthcare facility pages, specifically the schema markup for physician and local business properties. So I'm not going to go into tons of detail there. There are some links on this that talk specifically about how to achieve that markup that is needed on your web pages. And you can, if you're not on a developer side, at least pass that on to your development team and make sure that those updates are being done if they're not already. And the last one with all of the YMYL algo updates over the past few years. It'll be especially important for doctors to ensure they have a strong online reputation and demonstrate expertise in their medical area via citations from reputable healthcare authorities and sites. So, I mean, it's an important feature. Right now, it's only appearing in mobile search results. I think screen time, I saw a meme, something about, hey, can Apple pull back on your screen time usage updates during a time like this and not make you feel so guilty for the increased usage while everybody's kind of isolated and quarantined right now. But anyways, this feature is currently only available through mobile, and I think we'll see more and more companies jumping on this and making sure that they're utilizing these new tools that, especially at a time like this, and everybody's looking for all kinds of different healthcare related items.
And it could be something as well that Google just has for now, just has up there. But I do think it's something that is here to stay because it's very valuable information. And down the road, I think that they could incorporate other mechanisms into these health knowledge cards as well. So. Yeah.
Yep. I do too. That's all really good information. I mean, and there's just, as we said at the beginning of this, it's coming out just left and right, and I think businesses are agencies and others that in the marketing field that we're probably already experiencing some kind of a decline in budgets overall, or at least you've heard concerns at the very least from your clients. So cannot emphasize enough opening up those communication channels with your clients, and then businesses opening up the communication channel with their customers, updating as much as possible. There are ways to just really limit the hysteria right now and not go into full on panic mode like so many people are doing, and it's very easy to do, right? I mean, it's hard to blame somebody for doing that when this 24/7 news cycle of this stuff is just coming out by the minute. But again, just trying to maintain a little bit of normalcy and just make relevant updates and not jump to just drastic decision making in regards to marketing right now.
Absolutely. And just saying, like I said, remaining in advertising, if you need to decrease your budget, it is understandable, but not completely. Remaining strong, very strong social media strategies, keeping up that engagement, getting on Facebook, Instagram Live, as well as improving your SEO. This is a perfect time. A lot of workers are working from home. Have them write blogs, have them get in there. Little practices, healthcare organizations, as we just spoke with, to find those practices, find those strategies, and really improve yourself in the digital space in this uncertain time. Yep,
definitely. Well, I appreciate all of the good information that you brought with us today, Alaina, and I know I'm excited, obviously, for our next episode. But I mean, it's a little, it's interesting. It's a little nerve-wracking to kind of think where we were a week ago. Right?
I know it's coming out every day. Every day.
Certainly this is not how we envisioned the launch of our show, but I don't know how that we can really talk about anything else at this point, and we're just doing our best to try to make what's happening relevant to what we're trying to do with the show, right? And again, just bringing the most relevant digital marketing related news and updates, trends, all of those things to you, as we're just canvassing everything that we possibly can and condensing that into, hey, what's the most beneficial, what do our listeners and watchers care about the most, and we're going to continue to do that. And right now, this is it. So I certainly anticipate that, unfortunately, very much so, but I do anticipate this probably being majority of our next show, and we're going to continue to bring how this is affecting everybody in our field the best that we can. So Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining
Thank
us.
you.
I'm Chris. This
I'm
is
Alaina.
Alaina. Thanks for coming to listening, watching The Click this week. We'll see you next week.